Welcome to the Cover Your Assets podcast, a show for the physician who understands the importance of protecting everything you've worked so hard to achieve. If you're ready to find the peace of mind that only financial security can bring, let's get started. Here's your host, Billy Gwaltney.
Welcome to today's episode of the Cover Your Assets podcast. I'm your host, Billy Gwaltney. Excited to be with you as always. Have a friend of mine, John Navin, on the call, a financial advisor. This is a get to know John initial conversation as part of our upcoming series called Cover Your Assets ... from all angles, where we'll talk about some educational, just go over some educational aspects of financial planning. I'm going to have two financial advisors that I've grown to respect and trust in terms of their ability to take care of their clients all over the country. And I'm offering this for fun and for free to my clients and anyone that they want to invite, physicians all over the country and whoever else they want to attend, just to learn more about what does financial planning really mean and kind of see where that takes us. John, welcome to this podcast. It's really good to have you here.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So I'm gonna just ask a few questions, let you kind of do most of the talking, and we'll just start with, tell us who you are, how you got where you are, and what makes you tick, that kind of thing.
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have?
Do that. Have at it.
Man, I could go on for hours with that.
Yeah.
How I got to where I am.
I'll keep you short.
I'll keep me on track. So
that's right.
I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to go back too far. No, I've been doing this for 30 years. So 1993, I started. Is when I first got licensed, and I just kind of fell into it. Believe it or not, I was a physical education major way back when. So I've always enjoyed, and I was going to get into coaching. And so I thought, here's a way to coach and help a lot more people and probably make a few more bucks than a high school coach would.
Right.
It wasn't a money thing for me. It was just one of those things that we got into and just kept going. And I loved it. So I fell into insurance, and then I slowly about a year later, I added my securities license. So it's been 30 years of just building a company, building a practice, and helping people figure out, I used to say retirement planning, but now it's a little bit more, I'm calling it their freedom number, because actually I don't even believe in retiring. So you asked me a question before we started, but
explain that a little bit. What do you mean when you're advising clients and they say, how much do I need to retire? Right. I mean, that's what do I do about retirement?
And I'm changing a little bit. I'm just calling it your freedom number. So, I mean, some people think, I got it. Retirement's an age. Retirement's not an age. It's a number. It's when you go, hey, I want to stop doing this and I want to go over here and do this because I have enough money. So we have to figure out
freedom to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So we got to figure out what your number is. I mean, some people need 15 grand a month. Some need more, some need less, and whatever their number is, once we can figure it out and get that number, they're set to go. They don't have to retire if they can go on to something else.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you work with clients, I assume you work with them all over the place, all over geographically. What's the process you take them through, and how's your firm set up in order to help them from start to finish?
Good idea. Good question. We have clients right now. I'm looking. I think we're probably in 12 different states without thinking too loud, probably more than that. But we can go nationwide. So we're fee-based only. Not tied to any one company, not tied to any one product, not tied to any one idea. So it's all very much it's client focused. So what we want to do is really identify the people who want our help and who say, yes, we want you to take us through our process. It's called the Lifestyle Maximizer. And so what we do is we bring them in, we look at 5 different areas inside their financial life. So we look at income planning, investment planning, estate planning, healthcare planning, and tax planning. So all 5 of those areas, and we create a strategy in each one of those areas to make sure that they can self-complete. So then we put together a plan, a strategy. We can help them implement it. We can help them with the investments if they want to, not tied to any company. So I don't care what product or what company you pick. It's totally autonomous, and it doesn't matter where you are. So in California or if they're in New York, we can help them anywhere.
So how long does that process take when you start working with them? Are you walking with them through their entire career? Is it a set it up and kind of set them free to go do it on their own, or how does that
Yep.
work? And I know you're big into education and kind of helping people understand why they're doing what they're doing. How does that tie into that?
Yep. So the financial process is about 6 weeks. So from start to finish, between helping them figure out, basically, we have a form called their values and visions, which in essence is helping them identify what some of their goals are, what some of their dangers are. And then also, I want to hear what their perfect day is. So if we can identify what their perfect day looks like, and some of the guys you work with, their perfect day is doing what they're doing, right? So they want to be in it, they want to do it, they want to be active. And it's very similar, to our other co-host, Kyle, who's, if you want to work in there, do it. Mine is very much hey, I want to go do something else. So once I hit this number, I want to go do something else. So that first part takes about 6 weeks. Then what we do, though, it's really almost a year-long process if people want to participate. So I don't want them to think that, oh my gosh, they're in this in a year-long process. No, it's 6 weeks. It's 3 meetings, but it takes about 6 weeks. Then we go into the year-long process. And what that entails is we're looking at basically quarterly meetings just to bring people in and go deeper on particular topics. So once we're set up from, the planning stage, then the first quarter, what they do is they start going deeper into their taxes. So how do we help these people set up their financial portfolio for not only tax efficiency today, but tax efficiency in the future? Next meeting, next quarter, we go in and we look at all their insurances. Following quarter, we go in and we look at all their estate planning stuff. Following quarter, we go in and we have a little coaching tool that we use to help people identify what success looks like for them going forward. So the short answer to your question, no one ever leaves. So we typically, I shouldn't say that, people leave, but not very often, because they're in it and it's built upon the relationship. So as they grow, we are designed and we have programs to help people all along. We call it a maturity model. So as they gravitate from, maybe being in debt to now they have some serious money and all steps in between, how do we allocate that and what do we do? So it's a lifelong process. Reason why, let me just because this is reason you asked why I go to work. I want to do that. So if I can help somebody in a year get through that whole process, you now have a financially fulfilled, tax efficient, guy's got all of his insurances covered, disability included. You're doing a great job taking care of them there. We come in and help out with, and I know you do some of this stuff as well, but a whole look, even including home and auto. Because if they have all of that done,
right.
If you've got a person that has their whole financial life, because most people don't step and do what they want to do because they're afraid. And they're afraid for a couple of reasons. They don't know if they have enough money to afford it, or they don't know if they have time. We take them through that whole process. A year later, you know that your whole financial life has a plan and it's taken care of. You can feel comfortable going out and sharing your gifts with the world. So really, we want to create self-confident, well-rounded, giving people. That's what we're after.
Interesting. So so when you're, I work with physicians there, and my specialty is disability coverage, as you know well, and I usually start working with them when they're in training. And so they're 80 hours a week, just going full bore to get into position to be an attending physician. They're not making much money. A lot of times they're in debt, and then they transition where they become an attending, they get a significant income increase, but then they have all these decisions that they have to make. And it's like drinking from a fire hose, or at least that's the sense I've gotten as I've talked to them. And so navigating someone through that, I liked what you said about it taking, different stages, because initially is pay off debt. It's just, it may be not simple, but significant, like buying a house, where they're going to live in the country, which job they're going to accept, how that works. How do you, and it sounds like to me that and at least getting to know you want your clients need to make these decisions. They've got to decide who they want to become, where they want to go, where they want to end up, kind of this idea of begin with the end in mind. So this is not a stick your head in the sand, somebody else go manage it, and somehow you end up in the euphoric place that you hope. So you mentioned time, and time is a limited resource, right? And so we all have the same amount of time, but it feels like it's going by really quick. How do you help them in navigating that and making those decisions, knowing that they don't want to become an expert like you and they have limited time, but they need to be engaged, right? It is their plan.
Yep, absolutely. Someone said to me, and I think it just popped into my head when you were talking, Billy, but someone said, you can have anything you want, but you can't have everything you want, right? So we can have anything, we just can't have everything. So we help people identify what their big rocks are. What are the things that are most important to them? What are the things that they value? So that perfect day conversation is helping them determine what it is that they really value. So if we can pull their values out, they can identify their values. Then we create this financial plan built around their values. They are now creating perfect days all the time. But yes, in the beginning, they're going to have to stop and go, okay, wait a second. I know, because they probably came, like the rest of us, right? So we went to school, went to college, got out of school, said, what the hell am I going to do now? These guys have a great idea. Physicians, right? They know where they're going. So they're
Right.
They're good. They're covered. But then they step back and they go, wait a second, for the first time in 28, 32 years, whatever it is, I'm stepping back and really looking for myself at the first time going, what is it I really want? And what do I want to do? So I know I want to practice medicine.
Yeah,
and I know
what now?
Pardon me?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
What now? Yeah,
What now? Yep. And so we help them identify those things and then also plan for them financially and plan for them insurance-wise, or like you mentioned, they're going to be in debt. So somebody who comes in first, we may have to talk about the snowball effect, or we may have to talk about power ways to pay off your debt so we can get you out of debt quicker. Some of these people, we maybe don't want to get them out of debt because you can still write off your student loans. So maybe we don't be in a hurry. It just depends on what's important to the person. So it's looking at the values and the goals of our listeners and saying, hey, how do we set this up for the most efficiency going forward?
That's really good. I appreciate you sharing that. Obviously trust is really critical, and that's what is so limited today in a lot of ways. How do you build trust with someone you may never meet in person, that lives in some other part of the country, and they might move 2 or 3 times throughout their career? How do you help navigate that and build that over time?
It is really done in that first vision and values conversation. So if we sit down and have a conversation, I know you do something similar. So to where you're really connecting with people, now you're developing a relationship. That's one thing. The second thing is, so the relationship is the important part to me. The second thing that's important to me, and yeah, we touched on this briefly offline, is about 5 years ago, I stepped back and I said, okay, I did all these things the coaches told me to do. I followed the rules. I did this. I invested this. I saved here. I got to a point where I was like, I can retire. Now, could I retire lavishly? I don't know, but I could have stepped out and retired, and I did. So I stepped back. I took some time. I biked across America. I climbed Kilimanjaro. I did.
How long did you take for that? How long was that? How much time away did you?
The bike across the country was 10 weeks. So
you were off the grid for 10 straight weeks?
Like I would see clients out. I would call in most every day. I was still checking my email. But if I needed to call somebody, I was typically off the road by 3 or 4. Called them at 3 or 4.
Right. Okay.
It worked out fine. None of my clients had an issue with it. Worked out perfect.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's kind of like they say, hey, I see my dentist once a year. And I'm like, okay, what's your dentist doing the rest of the year? Well, I don't know. No. So I'm going to bike across the country.
Right.
So, but the biggest thing, and this is probably the most important part, I understand I'm going somewhere else a lot longer than I'm going to be here. I am not interested in anything I gain today if it's going to risk where I'm going in the future. So we have a very, very open policy. If someone wants to work with us, great. If they don't, that's great too. I just want to get you some help, and I want to do it upfront and honestly. And yes, do I lose people? Sometimes. But I'm more concerned about helping those people that want help than I am trying to help a ton of people that don't want help. And so it's more important to me to do the right thing than it ever is to make.
Well, that's what moved me to get you and Kyle both, because you both have that kind of open-handed approach to that. Hey, here's how we do it. Here's what we want to do. If I'm not your person, then find a person, but just make sure that you leave here with more than you came up with. Leave them better than you found them, kind of thing.
Well, you share that same one, Billy. You left yourself out of there. That's how we're all together.
That's true. Yeah, you want to educate them and help them find the solution they need. So yeah, when most of my clients, when we start working with them, are younger. Anytime you've been doing something for 30 years, that's a good thing, because it's a lot of experience, a lot of specialization, a lot of this isn't your first rodeo. That's a good thing. Mm-hmm. When a young person says, well, then where are you going to be when I've been, when I'm 30 years down the road, how do you answer the question of what's next for you? And do you have some kind of succession plan when you think about your firm
Yes.
and people that are looking at work?
Yes, yes, and yes. So, first of all, my goal is to live to 125. So I plan on being around
Okay.
a while. So people look at me like you're nuts, but if you've got money and your
That's
health,
Dan Sullivan. Yeah, that's
that's right.
that's the coaching coming out,
If
right?
you've
Hey,
got,
begin with the end in mind, right?
yeah. If money or my health go, well, then I'm like, I'm out. But no, but before then, I'm going to 125 is what my goal is. But, yeah, we're definitely in a growth mode now. So we have been, I just hired a new chief operating officer, and I told her, I said, you're working for a 30-year-old startup, because we have a renewed passion that we had it, right? We always did the right thing, and we have been, but now we want to go back into a growth mode, and we want to see how many people we can help actually become self-fulfilled. And really, Billy, now you're really going to think I'm nuts because I was sitting, it was yesterday, I was sitting and I was contemplating, I'm like, it becomes good and evil. And I'm not kidding you. There is so much evil out there. And now I'm chasing a big giant squirrel that we could probably eliminate.
That's
But
okay. That's okay.
it's to do the right thing.
It's there.
I mean,
Right.
we're getting pummeled information that isn't true. And I
Right.
want to make sure that people go, you know what? Hey, I've got my financial life straight. I understand what my purpose is. I want to have a great time, and I want to help some other people. People didn't become doctors because they wanted to have an easy lifestyle. No,
That's
they
right.
became doctors because they want to help people and make a difference.
Yeah,
We're
it's
in the
not a
same
quick.
boat.
It's not a get rich quick scheme.
No.
Being a doctor
No.
is not yet. It really is.
It's a long-term play.
Right. Right.
So
That's
and
really
I
cool.
understand the long-term play, but we do have a succession plan also. So there's people on the team that it's not just me. I mean, there's 5 of us now, and plus we have others that we hire out. And again, I just signed a new 5-year lease on a building. So yeah, people look at me and you probably get it, but you're not as old as I am. But where are you going to be in the future? You're going to be here for, yes, we will be.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I tell my response is my wife doesn't want me home for very long. She likes it when I'm out, and I don't want to be home for very long either, because I like to be where I love what I do. It's fun. It's every day's a day that I look forward to. So one last question is I
hear a lot of people say they're going to work part-time. I say, oh yeah, tell me about that. They go, yeah, I'm going to work Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and she's going to work Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So that'll be perfect.
Nice. There you go. I like that. Well,
that wasn't me, Billy. I'm just saying that's what I hear.
I get it. I get it. The one last question: if there's one piece of advice you could give someone who's not going to pay attention to anything else, but you're going to leave them now with one piece of advice, if you're never going to talk to them again, when it comes to them meeting John, what would you say to that? What would be your answer?
If we're talking about financially, right? So if I stay in the financial realm, I'm going to say have a plan. So whether you decide to do it on your own, or you decide to hire a financial professional, or you decide to hire anybody else that can help you, build a business, Kyle, there's all kinds of people that have different facets, and there still is that are expert. So find the person you like. But then if it is you and you're just going to do it yourself, or even if you're not going to do it yourself, have that plan, because you want to know what the trigger points are for your steps moving forward, right? So someone asked me today and said, hey, should I buy this stock? Depends on what you're trying to achieve, but you should look at that stock and say, hey, when it hits this price, I'm selling it. And when it hits this price, I'm buying it, more of it. You want that kind of stuff in your head when you're starting to identify what your plan is. So then you can work your plan. It's because fear and greed are the two things that drive the market, and that's it. So it's somebody who thinks that they're going to get rich, or someone thinks they're going to lose something. So they either get in or they get out. And so if you stick to that plan, you say, hey, when it hits here, I'm selling, or this is what I'm doing, and you have it in writing, away you go. Yeah. Plus, the more I think you have those conversations about the plan, let's take life insurance, right? Have you ever met anybody that's going to live for the rest of their life? No. We're all dying, right? No one gets out alive. We're going to die someday. Right. So it's not a mystery. So why don't we plan for it? Well, because it's scary. And we don't want to talk about stuff that's scary. Have a plan for it. Then when that time comes, it's easy because you already thought about it and it wasn't under duress. You thought about it before the fire sale. So plan would be the answer.
Yep. Begin with the end in mind. That's the way. Yeah, I love that from Stephen Covey back in the day. Well, thanks for your time, John.
Thank you.
It's really good having you. Look forward to discussing more That's all we have for today. Please feel free to text me if you'd like to discuss further or have questions or want to connect. 704-270-2376. Again, 704-270-2376. Thank you for your time as always. See you again soon.
Thanks for listening to the Cover Your Assets podcast, a Work P2P production. New episodes drop every 2 weeks. If you've enjoyed the conversation, subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. For more tips and advice, visit the website and YouTube channel. Check the show notes for links. Join us next time for another episode dedicated to helping physicians like you get your disability insurance right and protect your way of life.